Would you believe that more money is wagered on sports than is being invested into the stock market? In the wake of the 2018 Supreme Court decision that overturned the Professional and Amateur Sports Protection Act, PASPA, the landscape of sports gambling in the United States has experienced a profound evolution. This shift has seen an unprecedented surge in popularity, with the activity now being legally permitted in a majority of states. As a result, this transformation has not only reshaped the way Americans interact with sports, but has also sparked meaningful conversations regarding its economic, social, and ethical impacts.
I think this is very good for football. I think it's very good for baseball, which are slower.
Can't wait to place my first bet.
The ruling in 2018 was a game changer for sports gambling. What was once restricted to Nevada has now spread to 38 states, with 30 of those allowing online betting. In some ways, the sports betting industry has taken off like wildfire, turning into a multi-billion-dollar industry practically overnight. Millions of Americans are placing bets not only on major sports leagues like the NFL, NBA, and MLB, but also on smaller, less conventional sports such as tennis, golf, and even esports. For states that have embraced sports betting, the economic returns have been staggering. New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and New York consistently report billions of dollars in monthly wagers. For instance, New York saw more than $16 billion wagered in 2022 alone, making it the largest legal sports betting market in the country. Other states, including Illinois and Michigan, are not far behind in terms of money generated. This widespread legalization has not only provided states with significant revenue from taxes, but also created jobs in the gambling industry. Sportsbooks, both brick and mortar and online, are booming, with many companies like DraftKings, FanDuel, and BetMGM seeing massive growth. However, with rapid expansion comes significant challenges, especially in the realm of responsible gambling, regulation, and societal impact. While Americans can place bets on virtually any sport, some stand out as the most popular. Football, both the NFL and college football, is by far the top sport for betting. With weekly games, playoffs, and the Super Bowl, football season is a goldmine for sportsbooks. The NBA and college basketball also attract substantial wagers, particularly during events like March Madness, where millions are bet on every game across the nation. The appeal of football and basketball lies in their popularity, intense media coverage, and the ease of understanding the betting lines. Baseball and soccer are next in line, with Major League Baseball (MLB) and the international soccer leagues like the English Premier League drawing regular bets. Soccer's global nature means it generates substantial interest year-round, especially for fans placing bets on international tournaments like the UEFA Champions League and the FIFA World Cup. One of the fastest-growing sectors in sports betting is live or in-play betting. This allows fans to place wagers on the outcome of individual plays, innings, or even in-game moments. For example, bettors can wager on whether the next play in a football game will be a run or pass, or how many points a player will score in a quarter. This kind of micro-betting has turned what was once a pre-game wager into a continuous stream of betting opportunities, keeping gamblers engaged throughout an entire game.
Huge possession. Oh my God! Puka! Yeah, let's go. Let's go. That's cash.
Regarding states leading the charge in sports betting, a few stand out based on the sheer volume of money wagered each month. Here are the top 5 states where sports gambling has become a significant economic force. New York has quickly become the epicenter of sports gambling in the U.S., with online betting legalized in early 2022. The state racked up more than $16 billion in wagers that year, averaging over $1 billion in monthly wagers. Its strategic location, massive population, and mobile betting options have all contributed to its dominance. New Jersey. As the state that initiated the push to overturn PASPA, New Jersey has been a leader in sports betting. It was one of the first states to legalize online betting, and it consistently sees monthly wagers of over $1 billion. Atlantic City casinos have also benefited from the influx of sports gamblers. Nevada may no longer hold a monopoly on sports betting, but Las Vegas remains a gambling mecca. The state has adapted to the changing landscape by offering robust mobile betting platforms, but it still thrives on in-person wagers made in its iconic casinos. Illinois legalized sports betting in 2020, and it didn't take long for the state to become a major player. Thanks to its large population and strong sports culture, Illinois regularly sees monthly wagers exceeding 800 million. Another early adopter, Pennsylvania, legalized sports betting in 2018 and has since seen steady growth in both in-person and online wagers. The state's thriving casino industry has helped support its strong performance in the sports betting market. These 5 states have set the benchmark for sports betting, but other states such as Michigan, Colorado, and Virginia are not far behind and continue to report significant revenue from sports betting taxes. One of the most interesting developments related to the rise of sports gambling is how it compares to traditional financial investments like stocks. A recent study found that for every dollar Americans spend on sports betting, net investments in stocks and other financial investments drop by over $2. This suggests that more people are willing to risk their money on sports bets than on the stock market. This shift raised important questions about the financial behavior of Americans, particularly younger generations. The gamification of sports betting, where apps and websites make it easy to place small bets in real time, has made gambling more accessible than ever. Apps like FanDuel and DraftKings offer constant promotions, live updates, and easy-to-use interfaces, making betting a seamless part of the sports watching experience.
Sports betting is completely legal in New York, Pennsylvania, all these other states. You can just open up an app on your phone.
In contrast, the stock market, with its complexities and need for longer-term planning, often lacks the immediate thrill that comes with sports betting. The fact that people are pulling money from their brokerage accounts to fund their sports gambling habits is concerning. It reflects a broader cultural trend, where risk-taking and thrill-seeking are prioritized over long-term financial stability. While stocks are traditionally seen as investments with positive expected returns over time, sports betting is inherently risky, with the odds almost always stacked against the bettor. This behavior change is particularly evident among young adults, who have been found to engage more heavily in sports betting than older generations. This demographic, often more comfortable with online platforms and apps, is particularly susceptible to the dopamine-fueled excitement of quick betting wins. However, financial experts warn that this shift from investing to betting could have long-term consequences for personal savings and financial stability. As sports betting continues to grow, concerns about problem gambling and addiction are becoming more prominent. Studies show that around 4% of Americans now struggle with some form of gambling addiction, with younger adults particularly at risk. The constant bombardment of advertisements from sportsbooks and promotions encouraging people to place more bets can exacerbate this issue, pushing people into risky financial situations.
Because I did genuinely lose a lot of my money. I was like, all right, that's it. That's too much. That's enough.
Several states have implemented measures to promote responsible gambling. For example, self-exclusion programs allow individuals to voluntarily ban themselves from sportsbooks, both online and in person. Many online platforms also offer tools such as deposit limits, timeout features, and loss limits to help bettors manage their gambling habits. Despite these efforts, more comprehensive regulations may be needed to ensure that this rapid expansion of sports gambling does not lead to widespread addiction. Organizations like the National Council on Problem Gambling, NCPG, and the American Gaming Association, AGA, are advocating for stronger regulations to protect vulnerable individuals, including more stringent marketing guidelines and increased funding for addiction treatment programs. Meanwhile, some critics argue that the current regulatory framework is too lenient, allowing sportsbooks to exploit addictive behaviors through the use of targeted marketing and promotions. As sports gambling becomes more embedded into the fabric of American sports culture, one of the most significant challenges is ensuring that the integrity of the games remains intact. Leagues like the NFL, NBA, MLB, and others must regulate gambling to ensure that the product on the field, court, or diamond remains legitimate. With the influx of money flowing into sports betting, the temptation to manipulate outcomes has grown, which is why these leagues must implement strict safeguards to protect the integrity of their competitions. One of the key concerns is that officials, players, and even team personnel could be influenced or coerced to impact the results of games, either directly or indirectly. History has shown that this isn't merely a hypothetical scenario, as betting scandals have marred the reputations of some of the greatest figures in sports. For instance, Tim Donahue, a former NBA referee, was convicted for his role in fixing NBA games and shared inside information with gamblers. Donahue's actions sent shockwaves through the basketball world and exposed vulnerabilities in the system that the NBA had to address quickly. Donahue himself had expressed that, following his scandal, the likelihood of referees being involved in such schemes has diminished, but he warned that lower-level employees, such as trainers or ball boys, might now be the weak link in leaking sensitive information that gamblers can exploit. Another infamous example is Pete Rose, MLB's all-time hit leader. Rose was banned from baseball for life in 1989 after it was discovered that he had bet on games while managing the Cincinnati Reds, including his own team's games. Although Rose insists that he never bet against his team, his gambling activities compromised the integrity of the sport. Rose's case has long been a point of contention, with many fans arguing for his reinstatement based on his on-field accomplishments, but the strict enforcement of gambling rules remains a cornerstone of MLB's stance on the issue. Most recently, the case of Shohei Ohtani and his interpreter, Ippei Mizuhara, underscores the need for continued vigilance. Mizuhara allegedly stole millions of dollars from Ohtani to pay off gambling bets, placing bets on various sports through legal bookmakers. While Ohtani himself was not implicated in the betting activities, the scandal highlights how individuals close to players can potentially use their access to sensitive information to fuel gambling addictions. This example serves as a reminder that even those on the periphery of sports organizations can pose risks to the integrity of professional sports. To mitigate these risks, sports leagues have implemented a range of measures. Regular education sessions for players, referees, and other staff about the dangers and consequences of illegal gambling are now mandatory. Leagues also work closely with law enforcement and betting platforms to monitor suspicious activity, and some have established dedicated integrity units to investigate potential threats. However, even with these safeguards, the pressure is on to ensure that fans can trust what they're seeing on the field or court. Without rigorous oversight, the legitimacy of professional sports could be called into question. As sports gambling has become legal in more states, the number of participants has skyrocketed. Recent surveys show that a significant percentage of Americans are now actively engaged in placing wagers on sporting events. According to a 2020 study, 20% of male respondents in the U.S. reported participating in sports betting. This is a substantial portion of the population, reflecting how deeply ingrained sports gambling has become in American culture. The ease of placing bets through mobile apps and online platforms has made it more accessible than ever before, leading to a sharp increase in participation. In contrast, only 7% of female respondents reported engaging in sports betting. While this number is smaller, it is still significant, and the gap between male and female participation is beginning to close as more women show interest in sports and sports-related gambling. Betting platforms are increasingly targeting female sports fans through marketing campaigns that promote betting as an exciting way to engage with their favorite teams and events. While this disparity between male and female participation remains noticeable, the growing trend suggests that sports betting may continue to attract a more diverse audience over time. The rise in participation has also brought attention to issues such as gambling addiction, particularly among younger demographics. Studies have shown that young men between the ages of 18 and 34 are the most likely to engage in sports betting, with many betting frequently during major sporting events, like the Super Bowl, March Madness, and the World Cup. This has raised concerns about the potential for problem gambling, particularly as many of these bettors are relatively inexperienced in managing financial risks associated with gambling.
They wouldn't be able to survive if they weren't targeting young people, because who's going to bet in 20, 30 years? It's going to be these people that they're trying to bring in now.
The popularity of sports betting is further fueled by the proliferation of betting apps that make it incredibly easy to place wagers on the go. Apps like FanDuel, DraftKings, and BetMGM offer users a variety of betting options, from traditional bets like money lines and point spreads to more complex options like parlays and in-game bets. The ability to place bets during live games has transformed the way people interact with sports, creating a constant stream of opportunities to win or lose money. This, in turn, has led to an increase in gambling participation across all demographic groups, though young men continue to dominate the market. While sports gambling is primarily a male-dominated activity, the industry is starting to recognize the potential of expanding its reach to more female bettors. As sports leagues and betting platforms continue to grow, it will be interesting to see how this gender gap evolves over time, and whether sports gambling will become more balanced in terms of male and female participation. Sports gambling has undeniably transformed how Americans interact with sports, turning every game into a potential windfall or loss. As more states continue to legalize sports betting, the industry will likely keep growing, with billions more being wagered every year. However, with this rapid expansion comes the need for increased oversight and responsibility from both the industry and regulators. The fact that more money is being funneled into sports gambling than into the stock market is a telling indicator of how risk and reward are being redefined in the U.S. While sports betting is undeniably exciting, it's crucial to remember that, like any form of gambling, the house always has an edge. As such, gamblers need to approach sports betting with caution, ensuring they bet responsibly and avoid falling into financial pitfalls.